Amy Manson, welcome to An Actor Despairs. How are you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Ah, it's such a pleasure having you on. I love watching you work. You make such amazing choices, and it's been a reoccurring theme I've talked about on this podcast. Is like, the UK actors. You guys are just so superior to us. The choices and the decisions you guys make. It's I think that's just something that's ingrained from your Elizabethan roots. Because there's no small choice in Shakespeare. But it's so cool to get to talk to you. Thank you for being on.
Great.
Cool with you? Can we start from the beginning?
Yes,
Where,
absolutely.
where did you grow up?
In Aberdeen,
Oh,
in the
amazing.
northeast of Scotland.
And how was that experience?
How was that sweet? Oh God, it's weird going right back, isn't it? When you're like,
Yeah.
hang on a sec. I was a kid once. Um, it was great. I kind of grew up on a farm, and then my when my parents divorced, I moved out to the countryside further, and lived with mum, and yeah, had the best kind of the best upbringing.
Were your
And this
parents
is
artists?
no, not at all.
Wow.
No, no, no. My dad's an electrician, and mum's a social worker, or was.
So how did the arts thing come your way?
Well, I it was at I went to a Saturday drama school up in Aberdeen called Stagecoach,
Yeah.
and it was singing, dancing, and acting. And I cannot sing to save my life. I try, but
Me too.
I'm not. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like,
Kid, don't have it.
don't have it. So yeah, I went to this drama school, and there was this teacher who I just fell in love with, Yvonne Wheeler, the drama teacher, and yeah, it was like a moment, like an epiphany during a improvisation. And it was about my stepmom taking my dad away from me. And I kind of thought at the time that was what I was truly living in my
Yeah.
life. So we did the improvisation with a girl, my peer, same age, and I just started crying. And I started just like, it was almost like a cathartic out of body experience.
Yeah.
And after that, it's just something that I just try, I'm looking to kind of attain to again, like just to understand what that is, because it doesn't always happen often. And I still can't put my finger on exactly what it was that I experienced then, but it's happened in a few projects since. So I think ever since then, that's been the hunger and the drive for me to kind of want to feel that
Yeah.
that level of kind of inhabiting a character or another person
Yeah.
in that way. So yeah, so that's where the addiction for the acting began.
That's amazing. And how did you get immersed in that school? Was your parents enrolled you, or was it something you seeked out?
No, I ended up having to go to a new school to do in Scotland. It's called Advanced Hires, so it's like your final year at high
Yeah.
school. Because they didn't do advanced higher drama. So this is where I met this drama school teacher, and she thought it would be good if I went to get extra coaching at this Saturday drama school. So,
Wow.
I mean, mum and dad couldn't afford it, so it was my grandfather, fortunately, who paid for me to go every Saturday.
Was it proper productions? Were you guys doing like a full on, like Shakespeare or contemporary pieces, or was it scene work, or how did it work?
Yeah, it was kind of followed the same lines of drama school, I guess. It's, there's you do your hour of acting class, you kind of like pick apart scenes, you do voice work during song lessons, and it all kind of comes to a head with a production at the end of the year. So I think we did like things like Godspell. So it
Oh,
was more kind of
nice.
musicals and things,
Yeah.
um and yeah, so it was more that you do the specific work of a Saturday, and then yeah, then it leads to a showcase almost.
So a proper one for like industry folk and agents and reps.
Not as big as what drama school offers, at the end of the third year for that, but there's definitely people from within the local town or city that come to see you and your parents, and
Yeah.
see what you've been up to.
That's amazing. And so then at what point did you feel the inkling to pursue drama school? Was it something your instructor put in your mind, or talk to me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my mum. both mum and dad didn't really understand what I was venturing into, and also didn't think it was attainable. You know, there's 4,000 people trial out for these drama schools in England every year.
Did
I
you
guess
do the
the same would
Rada,
be.
Central, all the main ones?
Yeah, exactly. I think I
Yeah.
did three of them. Yeah.
How'd it go?
Yeah, well, I think yeah, I got into a central on like the day I had my three auditions on one day, which is like unheard of. I
You
remember it,
did
the
them
sun was
all in one
shining,
day?
all in one day. Yeah, and the
Oh
head of
my
drama.
God. So you,
Yeah,
I don't even know, energy wise, there's no way. I did mine 3 days in a row and I was exhausted from that. That's amazing.
no, it's great. Yeah, it was. It was just one of those. I think the head of Central at the time, Jeff Coleman, he was in, and he just was. He just felt like seeing people that did the 2 rounds in the morning. So he was like, I think there was 10 of us
I've had
that he
Jason
saw.
Isaacs and Rufus on Sewell on the show, all
Oh,
Central.
brilliant,
Yeah, yeah.
brilliant.
That's amazing. And so
Yeah,
when you got into that school, did you have an awareness of how special and amazing that is?
definitely. I mean, the energy that was around. Yeah, it's like I remember leaving to go down to London. It was the first time I'd ever been down to London, and my mum came with me. And I said to this drama school teacher, I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And she was like, get on that bus, get down to London, come on, almost take one for the team. And it was, yeah, it was just surreal to be down there. And I think that day the sun was shining. I knew I had nothing to lose. And I just kind of, yeah, I just wanted to fall and hope there was a net there. And that's kind of what happened in the end. I
Yeah.
just enjoyed it. And I was just so grateful to be there. I think that's the thing, Ryan, like a theme in my life. Like when things are going well, it's because, you know, I wake up every day and I count my chickens, and I'm grateful for, you know, having legs to be able to walk. You know, I've kind of taken life down to the simple
Well, that's
again, which
such a
is,
beautiful policy to have because most humans don't have that. Was that something
mm,
instilled in you at a young age to always have gratitude and to, find the great things to celebrate?
I think I've learned that, and I've learned it from a very special friend of mine in the last, especially in the last 10 years. But like my dad, what he used to come in. I worked at an old people's home from the age of 13, and it was an hour away from a mile away from where my mum lived. But during the like winter months, my dad didn't like me walking home alone. So he would
Yeah.
drive like 45 minutes to come and pick me up and drop me off and all these things in life. He was just such a nice human being, and just was always giving to people. And I think the more I think about it recently, I think I've got a lot of gratitude for him, I guess,
Yeah.
and a lot for him to be thankful for.
I mean, gratitude is a great quality to have as an actor because we all get so disillusioned. So talk to me, when you got to London and you started this amazing drama school experience, how was it? Because I know it can be, yeah, I don't know what your program was, but I went to NYU. There was like 40 to
Oh,
50 of
amazing.
us. And, it's really intense and they break you to make you. And I don't know if it's similar there.
That's it. It's the same parallel. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly the same. That's it. You go in with like this spark, don't you, of just like you've found
Yeah.
something new. And then I remember
Oh man.
Jeff so bad, but I remember Jeff actually saying at the end at the showcases, he was like, "What happened to that spark you came in with?" I was like, "You knocked it out of me."
What
I
a
thought that
dick.
was the
Who
whole
says
plot.
that?
Oh
That's so
God,
cool. Well, I
yeah.
mean, was it really cool going from this Saturday program to being able to like 40 hours a week, if not more, immersing yourself into
Yeah,
acting?
yeah, absolutely. And I think yeah, it was more I similar to your experience, Ryan. I There was a lot of people in the year. I think it was the biggest year Central had taken on.
Wow.
And there's 47 in our year. Nobody got kicked out for being late or any of the things that they might have done in years gone by, because they went on to the UCAS system.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was a struggle. I think there was a lot of politics. There was too many people in the drama, too many voices, I guess, and too many people requiring extra space, and there's just complications with rooms with this, and I just felt like, just get your head down with the work, just do the work. There was
Yeah.
just too much extracurricular nonsense and
Yeah.
going on that would just, I didn't think was conducive to the workload that we already had in that respect. So I kind of
Totally.
just kept myself to myself. And in hindsight, I think I wish I hadn't worked so many jobs. I mean, I had to, but
You were working
part-time.
survival jobs as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, what were you doing, if
Yeah.
you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. I worked at a gym called a Sporta around
Okay.
the corner. So it was a gym that I'd work in the morning. And then I had two bar jobs while I was there.
Oh my
Um,
God. Amy,
I know it was good.
how did you
I know
balance
I'm
all of that?
silly. I know I didn't really, looking back now, I was like, oh God, I got not ill, but I think it was just, I just didn't have a life, I guess. And
Yeah.
it became quite a like solitary existence. And that's hard in London. It's hard to kind of integrate when you're not putting the time in.
Yeah. So
Even though, mm,
if you don't mind, that was going to be my next question.
mhm.
Like, talk to me about, because London is such a tricky city. I feel like in all the times I've been there, you need someone with like the key to unlock it for you, because there are all these like hidden corridors and societies and clubs, and
Yeah,
it can be such an isolating city if you're alone.
that's right. And I think I struggled at drama school. Um, just because it was the first time I'd left as well. And I would have thought I was streetwise, but probably not coming from the sticks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I had lovely peers. Don't get me wrong, everybody was super lovely, and they were always there for we were there for each other. But the workload was just so heavy, and I think the times that I was working, I could have been reading more Shakespeare. Put it that
Yeah, I
way,
was going to say, like,
you know.
how are you conquering iambic while working all these survival
Yeah,
jobs?
yeah,
Like, like,
exactly.
well, how did you do that? I would, no way I would be able to balance that.
Yeah, I just didn't have a life. It was either work or extracurricular work. It wasn't extracurricular activities in
You
that
weren't
sense.
partying and going out and getting drunk.
No, I lie. I would party. I would detox the whole term, and then at the end, on the last night, on the Friday, that's when I would go out and get hammered.
Ah, amazing. I was
Make
doing,
up for it all.
yeah, that quite often as well. Did you, despite having such an intense schedule, do you feel like you got to know your peers and in some regard to develop the chemistry to pull off scenes or productions with them?
Absolutely, and I think it was more like I remember there was a Sarah Kane that we did. Was it Blasted?
Yeah.
And I did it with Ben Peel, this guy from the school, and I think like there was a scene where we had to be kind of like half naked almost, and but because everybody was just so super lovely, it was a really nice year. Like everybody was decent human beings, and I think just the trust was there. We'd do the work in the classes, and that was enough.
Yeah.
I guess you could kind of clock who was who you could trust in that respect, and the majority of people you could. We had a good year.
And in the summers, were you staying in London or did you go
Yeah.
back? You were.
Yes, stayed in London. Yeah. So in the summers, I'd worked at. Have you been to Camden Market?
I have been to Camden
Yeah,
Market. Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
I
That's
loved it. I used
amazing.
to. Yeah, I worked in a jewelry stall there over the
Wow.
summer, which was fun.
So
Really
then,
great. But then, mm,
I apologize for interrupting. While you were there, right away, was Amy's head in like, I got to get rep, or were you like, let me get through drama school and then I'll worry about the industry?
very much that. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
didn't understand the industry. We talk so much about it, but it's so different when you get out there. The execution of your practice is completely different. And I
Yeah.
think the last year I was fortunate enough to um, book a agent off the back of the first showcase, and he put me up for a few things which I got. So the drama school let me leave to in the hope that I was going to come back, which obviously I was. That was the plan all along. But when I actually got out when I was let out, it was just so different being on set. It's like we never got enough screen time, I think,
Yeah.
um, tuition within drama school. So that was just, it was a bit of a mind-boggling experience
So
initially, but then you just,
how did
yeah.
you find your footing then? Because I know how tough that can be to do a mainly theater school and then to understand cameras and angles and how much smaller, how to play things. Like, was that a tough transition for you, or did you figure it out as you went?
I think I've always been like a curious soul and enjoyed, I understand that it's a collaboration. There's a big collective at work within the machine, and I was just in awe of everybody there. And I think just being still and observing is the best
Yeah.
way to learn on set, and not being, not having an ego, not be, I'm a new guy on set, I'm this, that. No, just do your job, keep quiet. Even still now, I'm not a big fan of stand-ins. I mean, I don't want to take jobs away from
Yeah.
people who stand in while you're being lit. Because I just find that's it. I love watching people work. I love getting, asking questions at camera. How does this work? What does check the gate mean? And especially the difference, such a luxury now going back to film, filming on film for this, that it's, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to
Wow.
know the workings inside out, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's so beautiful getting a chance to work before you finished. A lot of actors would have, gotten eager to just keep working. What made you decide to go back and finish?
I guess by the end of third year, it was more so for my friends. I wanted to do the final showcase
Yeah.
with everyone, and I think that was the whole intention. It's after 3 years that we all got through it together. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
So it was more so that coming back. Um, yeah, I think that was it. And you come back and share your experience as well.
Yeah. And
That's part of it, isn't it?
did the final showcase change your rep, or were you still with the same one from the first?
I'm still with the same one.
Wow, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
I imagine though you got on some really cool casting directors and other industry folks' radar. What was your tactical plan once you graduate? Stay in London and just keep auditioning?
That's it. Just keep auditioning.
Wow.
Yeah, just the amount of scripts that came in as well, and I'm quite good at just um I'm finding it harder with social media these days, but you just have to turn your phone off and get your head down. It's all about the work, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
love storytelling and I love reading stories. And but I think there's a period of about a year that I just didn't have time to read a book. There was all these beautiful, champagne problems. There's all these beautiful scripts coming in for me that it was just a joy to read and to work on and to pick
Yeah.
apart another person's psyche, and try and understand why they behave the way they do. It's
Yeah.
just fascinating.
And then you came out and you did a lot of the BBC, original content. What was it like going through that? Because there, I know you guys do a lot of, period costume dramas and gotten better about contemporary things. Like, what was it like living in both worlds of that?
Yeah, that was a luxury. I don't think you really appreciate it when you're going through it. I think that's, I'm having a bit of a nostalgic moment in my life right now and looking back, and actually I didn't appreciate it the way I probably should have. I never really saw it as a business. I think you
Yeah.
don't think you're going to grow up, do you? You don't. You think that you'll always be the young one in the cast forever, and so I think maybe I took it for granted in a wee bit. Not in the respect of I always did the work,
Yeah.
but instead of being, I don't know, taking more chances, I think I would have much rather have done. And not, I felt maybe at that age I just had to adhere to rules and do what I was told more and kind of fit into the niche of whatever role I was going in for,
Yeah.
and just kind of like almost like that would be a pat on the back if you managed to achieve that and hit this note and do that, rather than try, being cool with failing, trying
Yeah.
something so absurd that that you fail and then you try again
Yeah.
and you finally succeed if you're one of the last ones to stay standing, in that respect.
But it
I
must have been
think.
so cool, to
Mhm.
go from young Amy on Saturday school to being able to make money doing what you love.
Absolutely. Oh, I've had so many moments where, like, even when I get jobs, even now, I break down because you put so much of your soul into it, don't you?
Yeah.
And you just like, but there are the certain ones that just get you, like that keep you up at night, that you get those butterflies. And I think I wish maybe when I came out, I wish I was able to say no to a lot more things,
Yeah.
and not go up for everything and realize that actually I'm not right for everything and I never will be in
Yeah.
that respect. So if I could go back to that time of straight out of drama school, I would have taken more time for myself and being kinder to myself rather than going from one script to the other and trying
Yeah.
to, not necessarily prove people wrong, but prove maybe my parents
Yeah.
wrong initially, with how hard this industry was to gain work, professional work.
Yeah.
um and just, yeah.
And then, once you get in the BBC family, did they, I don't know if it's similar casting directors, but just did that beget more work? Because I know you did so many of their, different pieces. Like, was that just by coincidence, or was that, fans you made from Showcase or from the work you were doing on screen?
No, not no, the antithesis of that. I've always had to fight for every role, like
Wow.
every single one. I think Miss Marple was an offer that came in. But yeah, no, a lot of it's that I've just back to basics, and a lot of them have never crossed over. I mean, I guess, you know, casting agents were aware of the trajectory that any artist is going on, and maybe jumping on whatever bandwagon there was at the time. But I think because I play such eclectic and different parts, I think the industry probably has found it hard to kind of pigeonhole me into one like staple genre, I
Yeah.
guess. And I think maybe to go back to your previous question of it being, you know, between amalgamating the two, the period pieces and modern, I think it's just been, I never like to use the word luck. So I'm not going to say it's luck of the draw, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just, it's, I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing at whatever time. And I truly believe that
And
now.
while you were working so much in that medium, was theater something that was always imperative to you to, do something at the Globe or, on the West End, or, was that something you were going up for quite often?
No, I went, the first play I went up for, I actually, yeah, managed to get that. That was Mark Thompson, who I'm a massive fan of, at the Lyceum Theatre in Edinburgh.
Wow.
So it's one of my favorite theatres. And just the depth of it, it's just one of the old school rep theatres. And yeah, and doing that play, I did six characters in search of an author.
Wow.
And that just, it blew my mind being on stage and working with such amazing people. And also in Scotland, there's the luxury with the National Theatre of Scotland of having 6 weeks to rehearse, or 5 weeks, I think it is, to rehearse. Whereas normal rehearsals about 3-4 weeks, depending on the scale of the show, obviously. So just to be able to do what I said, you know, like the try and fail aspect
Yeah,
within a safe space was magical for me, and again an addiction, and so great to flex my muscles from drama school and to go
totally.
back to, yeah, you know, your Pandora's box and back to your toolbox and using certain things and going, oh, that's what they meant in drama school when they said this, or that's why we've had to do so much voice work,
Yeah.
you know, or breath work, or you know, it's all kind of made sense during those moments of the theater that I've been so honored and grateful to have done so far.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then I'm curious, with having things like Once Upon a Time that are these, such massive, you know, followings of fans that watch these things so routinely, I'm curious, at a certain point, was there ever an inkling for you to, breach America as an actor, to maybe get rep here, or were you getting American projects there from your agents?
Yes, well, I actually this I did a film called January with
Yeah.
Zoe Tapper, who you had on the show a few weeks
Oh,
ago.
lovely.
Lovely, lovely
Yeah.
Zoe. And from that, one of the other guys in the show, his manager saw it, so he actually phoned my agency every day for a week to ask
Wow. He
about,
wanted,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
just loved the resilience. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this guy's seen something, because I also know that that project for me took a hell of a lot out of me.
Yeah.
I think I got ileal gastroenteritis or something, and still
I
was
have
running
that
around
right
the
now.
woods. Oh no, dude,
Yeah.
that's oh no,
Oh man.
shame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's not great. Bless
No,
you.
horrible.
And
That's
you're still showing
my
up.
apology. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's been
Yes, fine.
but that's what I do for Amy.
Yes, that's
Um,
it.
so when you got that manager, then did that really start opening things up, like from American product?
Yes, he would send sides over to do and to tape. So it was
Yeah.
just like day after day, you know, taping one or two things, which was wonderful. In the hope of maybe moving out there. I think I think there's maybe a wee bit too much pressure, I think, from American agents sometimes, just to say, you know, it solely happens in LA. You have to be here. You must be
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now because of the pandemic, that all that is just, that train of thought just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Because you can do it remotely, you know, audition wise.
Yeah.
So I think I did feel a bit of kind of, oh, like starry eyes and rose tinted glasses, and LA is where I should go. And so I ended up getting my green card, which I still have now. And yeah, I'm not sure if it is a good thing or not, but I would love to film out there again.
Did you move there for a bit?
I did. I moved out, yeah, for 3 years just while I got the green card.
So talk
After Once Upon a Time.
Wow, so talk to me about that experience. That's such a big decision to uproot your life, you know. How was that
Mm.
coming from London to, LA, where it's a city revolving around one industry? It can be exhausting and crippling and paralyzing, but the palm trees are nice, you know?
Yeah. Palm trees. So I came out to LA when I was 21 on my own, and I didn't drive, so I got the bus around everywhere.
Oh man, I had no car when
Oh,
I lived in LA too. It is so
oh,
tough.
nightmare.
Yeah.
So tough.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of the heat either. I love my seasons.
Yeah.
I get very bored in one kind of, yeah, heat environment at a
Yeah.
time. But I had a wonderful time, and it was a really nice way to do it and go incognito at the start of my career when nobody knew me, and figure it out for myself, a lot of time on my own. And I think that's when I started reading Jack Kerouac and heading out to the desert and, finding
Joshua
myself.
Tree and doing
Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Joshua Tree. And then to go back again off the back really of Once Upon a Time later in my life, it was just a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
It is when you're actually working as well, which is sad, but that's the industry we're in. And I had an okay time. I was living with one of my best friends actually out there, and I don't know, it just got too much for a few months, and I decided that I needed some greenery and I missed home.
Yeah.
So I ended up going and living in a treehouse in the Hollywood Hills. Um,
Wow.
yeah, for like 3 months. It was epic.
Airbnb or
No, it wasn't. It was through. I think it was a casting agent. It's like outhouse. It was almost like a Balinese
Oh,
outhouse
nice.
with
Yeah, they have a lot of those in LA.
yeah, but really rustic. Like I lived with spiders for 3 months, but it
Yeah.
was great, and it was just it's the first time I've spent, apart from going away on work projects, spent that time alone. So it was just, I just kind of got to a stage where I was like, actually, I miss the UK. I miss home.
Yeah.
I'm going for all these auditions. I'm
What,
not
if you
too
don't
good.
mind, what did it
Mm.
change the material you were going up for? Like in LA, was it more movies? What were they kind of trying to facilitate for you? What
Uh, More TV shows, and I think that was it. I just found it hard going up for auditions, I think, and just being one of 100 women going in and writing my name on a piece of paper. I just found that hard to digest, and
Yeah.
the whole batch production method of it all was just quite brutal, and I don't think my spirit is up to that, I
Yeah.
think. So I found that tough, but in complete admiration for the system over there, and the machine that is LA, because it is its own entity as much as it is in London. And I really can't wait to go back for press. I think maybe it would have been a different experience had I have been working there, whereas
Yeah.
I'd just come off the back of Once Upon a Time in Vancouver.
Right.
Hmm.
That's
With
and
greenery and
other than this treehouse, your best friend in the desert, I know so many people that go to LA and feel exactly how you describe and exhausted. What buoyed you? What anchored you and allowed you to continue showing up for these auditions? Because at a certain point, you do see 100 people coming in and you're not getting it, and it can be so frustrating and maddening, and literally you have no control over it. So what anchored?
again, just knowing that that I've had these doors open for me
Yeah.
through having representation. Actually, I had to give myself a kick up the butt and go, who do you think you are? Like you've got beautiful, you got beautiful relationships with the people who represent you, and they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Time to do your job. It's not their fault that you're not getting the work.
Right. Right.
They get you, the opportunity, and you go, and it's up to you to get these jobs. So I think I just turned it around in that way, and just says, right, get your head down and try. And then I think I was just getting kind of sucked into the wrong side of LA, I think, in the end. When you've
Yeah.
got too much time on your hands, it's just kind of
Oh God, you can lose your
you
mind.
yeah. And I guess maybe you could anywhere, but I think the desire to be working in a city that is all about work,
Yeah.
all about what your dream is,
Yeah.
it's a hard one to get your head around, because I'm not a jealous person. It was nothing to do with that. It's I believe we're all on our own path, but it's just hard to know that it was bubbling the industry under the surface, and I wasn't a part of it.
Did you, I mean, I know you had worked so much in the UK. Did you ever have to, go back to a survival job, or were you able to carry through, living on a budget, or, whatever work you had done previously?
Yeah, I mean, it was a major budget. It just that's why I really had to go home in the end, because it just got to the stage where it was like, actually, I can't survive without work.
Yeah,
I'd rather go and hole up and find my footing and grounding again in somewhere I feel protected,
yeah,
rather than I felt so exposed out there in a way that I didn't think was conducive to work or my um,
yeah,
mental headspace in that way. So in the end, it was just a no-brainer, and I do I love being out there, and I've got wonderful friends out there. But it was just a real eye opener, because you go, why are you putting yourself through this? Like, you can
yeah,
do it from anywhere, and I think that's a big thing I've learned, is that I have to be happy to do my best work. Of course,
yeah,
it seems simple to say, but it took me a lot to realize that actually
yeah,
a lot of my anxieties and things were because I was putting pressure on myself to attain a certain thing, to be that, that model performer in LA. And I just don't think it it should exist. I
No,
think
I don't
there's
think
it's
anyone achieves it. We all
no.
put that pressure, but I'm curious, when you move back, do you feel like that alleviated a lot of the negative things that were weighing you down?
Yeah, 100%. I think I actually did some self tapes for, I think it was two jobs over in Britain, up in Scotland actually, and they were wonderful scripts, and I got them both. So that was kind of the impetus to come back.
Yeah,
So, and then yeah, it was just, I was like, oh, okay, this is what it should be. This is
yeah,
how I should feel. It shouldn't be a slog, it shouldn't be hard, it should be fun. And I just lost my way
yeah,
because of myself. There's nobody else to blame that way. It was my choice to move out there. And when I got the green card, that was my time there.
yeah,
And I'm glad I went out to know that it wasn't for me living
yeah,
there full time.
totally.
She says, probably having a job out there
I
soon, and I was,
know. See you soon.
yes,
That's so funny. And then I'm curious, talk to me about the Nevers. How did that come your way? Was that an audition or an offer?
audition, very much
Wow.
so. Yeah, yeah. So I remember getting the script in, and yeah, again, it was picking this script apart. I was like, what is this? This is next level writing. Like,
Yeah.
and it was
Without, I
just
know
always
we can't give too much away, but like
mm,
it's a sci-fi, would you say? Like fantasy, I guess would maybe be a better term.
all of the above. I think it's
Yeah.
just an amalgamation of everything. It's dark humor. It's just, yeah, any sort of word, steampunk. I mean, I think it truly has kind of like, it's a new genre. It feels like it. There's nothing
Yeah.
like it on TV. There really isn't, and so many
No, there is,
storylines.
and you're so incredible at it, as Malady. I'm so curious. It's from the trailer you get this. It's a wild character, and for you, having to show up in an audition room, was where did those choices come from? Because they're so grounded in reality of the story. But most actors, it's hard for actors to commit to something that specific without
Mm.
without going too big, and too gestural. But you perfectly pulled it off. Was that something that you just was it through the source material? Was it just through doing a conception of how this character would run? Because I'm so fascinated by it.
Yeah, I think thank you. Yeah, it came to me at a moment in my life when I was like, if I don't get this part, I'm gonna step away. I have to. It's taken up
Wow.
too much. Yeah, I not that I fell out of love with it. I couldn't give any more of my soul. And I remember when it came in and I worked on it and I went in there and I just knew it like the back of my hand, and I really went places in my head. I just picked it apart. Like if I was researching things online, I would, kind of digress into really horrible things done to women in like by groups of men.
Victorian time.
Well,
Yeah.
no, not really. Just like I think I went down a rabbit hole of like gang rape somewhere and all this sort
Yeah.
of mental things just to get in that headspace of like, because you just do have to flick that switch and you have to go there and
Yeah.
try and understand what that person goes through. And then I went in and then I got a call back, and the callback was with the creator and Nina Gold, the casting agent.
Yeah.
so I was in the room, and he just asked me like, what do you feel about the project? Like, what's your take on this? And I went into verbal diarrhea of this means this and this and this and this. And he said, I wrote that in 5 minutes. Like, it doesn't mean any of that. But I love where you were going. I was like, oh, all right, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And then he says, I mean, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh,
Let's
so
go.
it was
And
like
then,
callback offer.
well, it felt really nice. So I could kind of, yeah, I could chill. And actually, before I went in, I put up pictures of him, and before I went in, so when I got into the audition, I wouldn't feel, like starstruck or anything.
Yeah.
So it just kind of like, it was like we were best mates. So it
Yeah.
just so relaxed me. And then I did it like my tape, and then and yeah, then got the offer from that.
Wow.
But it was just so lovely. And then the journey kind of started. We started within a few months, and there was a lot of time given to all of us individually from
Yeah.
him, that would just to pick apart, and his vision and where he was going, and everything was just in his head. There was nothing executed on paper. I think there was only episode 1, to be honest.
Oh, wow. So you had to kind of gauge from his vocalization of what was happening. Like, you didn't literally know where it was going.
No, we still
Wow.
don't. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some outlandish storylines, but yeah, like the super objective, he kind of let us all, individually in on.
Yeah.
But when it started to just be, I mean, the writing would just go off the page. I'm like, wait, what, where are we now?
Yeah, I feel like
Is
if
this
on the
Victorian London?
page, it would be so hard to comprehend that, and that's what's so incredible about your performance, is that you're able to bring truth to a world that is very stylized and very specific. And when you get a script as an actor, you have no idea what it's going to look like until you're at the premiere. Everything can change in a second. So talk
That's
to me
it.
about keeping it consistent and grounded. What was your process like for that?
What was almost like, I felt like Pacino in Godfather, when he went into Godfather 2.
Yeah.
And it was like, he said something, I read somewhere, it was just like, he just didn't think he could do it, because we had a lot of stop starts, and I had a
Yeah, so
moment of
it
that.
was affected by the COVID, right?
Yeah, but initially it was there wasn't enough scripts to keep filming in that
Wow.
respect, so we had to take 3 months off between episode 1 and the rest of the whole
So
shoot.
you shot a pilot and then had to go back
Yes,
later.
yes, exactly. Yeah, took 3 months off to get all the next however many scripts, the ducks aligning of script
But
wise. And
HBO had already picked it up at this point, like
oh yeah, one,
okay,
yes,
got
yeah.
it.
So that was a safety net. The beauty of that, the safety net. So then, yeah, and then the truth aspect. I remember he said to me once that if we understand Malady, you've not done your job. That she talks in these weird ways because of the treatment that she's gone through within the mental institution,
Yeah,
or the time around the mental institution, and who's done it to her. And that's what I wanted to do, like root her in truth. I basically went back to who she was at 4 years of age. Did
yeah,
she lose her mother at birth? Did that then make her an orphan?
yeah.
So the text was the very last thing. I got in touch with my drama school teacher, and I've never done this before. I've
Oh,
never worked with a coach or.
it was a coaching session proper.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was. I would do that
Wow.
again. Yeah, just to
Um,
give it the layer it in the truth, because everything I say you need to know about characters in the script. You pick that apart. What they say about you, other characters, what they say about you, what you say about them, what you say about yourself, informs this character. It's all there if it's a good script. But with Malady, it was just like, where does she come from? Why is she behaving this way? Why is she this different? She's like a shapeshifter. Why
yeah,
why does she put on this kind of teenage, throwing the toys out of the pram at times, or this kind of coquettish child? When does she use these sorts of archetypes? And it was to root that in truth, so that, like, in the first episode, I think people have seen it in the trailer now, she's on the stage. That's her big reveal. But
she's
it's,
huge entrance.
yes, that's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
But like, yeah, we all, and the producers wanted me to kind of have free reign, and that
yeah.
I was given free reign. It was never the same. I had to hit certain marks, but it was up to me to just be on stage, to know her so inside out that if I looked somewhere or something happened, one of the archetypes, one of the people within her would respond to that.
Yeah.
And I think knowing that, like, you know, this is part of her turn as well. She's rooted in terror and pain, you know, of every, you know, she wants to inflict this on the people who put her through the same.
Yeah.
So all her rationale is, you know, it's logical to her.
I'm
Yeah.
curious.
And
I'm curious though. When you said drama teacher, was it your Scottish one or Central?
at Central, yeah,
Wow.
Peter McAllister is his name. Yeah. Yeah. And
Amazing.
I'm so glad I did, because it wouldn't have been, you know, he took me back to, so the text was the last thing on top, but he took me back to, you know, we went through Labin, we went through, you know, me as a child, like rolling around on the floor, what that would feel like, what being an orphan, like the begging position, like
Yeah.
who, you know, because in the first episode you actually see who Malady was before the asylum.
Yeah.
So it's understanding this person's truth and where she came from before, and why she's evolved to become this Malady. You know, it's
Yeah.
almost like Malady has become she's ridiculing her former self.
Yeah.
She hates who she was. She hates that she was this weak Victorian woman that was, you know, passive and, you know, subordinate to her husband, and that just was like a yes woman. That she just hated that about herself, and that's the
Yeah.
performance. That's why it is so. That's why I had to ground it and give her so many layers, because, or else it just becomes a performance. And yes, the first scene that she comes in is supposed to be a performance. You know, she's enjoying it.
Yeah.
She's there to hold the mirror up to society and the patriarchy that tried to pick her apart.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's yeah, she's human. I guess that was always the other thing that we would come back to. It's like, she's not invincible, you know, or is she? That's
Yeah.
these questions, big questions.
And then how far were you guys able to get before the pandemic struck?
And then we filmed up to episode 5.
Okay.
But there's a massive storyline that happens in episode 5 that involved a lot of people, and that had to stop. It was literally the week the pandemic hit and we got shut down.
Wow.
This big spectacle was literally shut down. It was such a shame. And then we were hoping that, you know, we could pick it up from then, but on scale wise, it just had to be stripped right back down when we
No.
picked up after COVID, the initial COVID.
So it changed the conceptual nature of what was achievable in a pandemic.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Wow.
just even shot wise had to change. This big
Yeah.
grand scale had to become about, you know, single shots, close-ups. You know, they did the best they could.
And for you, Amy, you know, talk to me about getting through the pandemic. What was it like to go from having this job to question mark about when I can return to this? You know, like, was it, you know, I know you guys are on your 3rd lockdown, you know, was that difficult for you, or were you able to be around family and keep yourself occupied? Because I know we've all struggled with it.
I think I was fortunate. I knew we had this big spectacle in episode 5 coming up. So I actually went up to Scotland for 3 days. This is before lockdown. And I got a phone call from the second AD it was a Sunday, saying that, look, we're ceasing production, we're stepping you down. And I says, well, do I have to come back to London? So he says, no, you don't. So I went straight to work for a charity, basically, up in the Scottish Highlands. So it was one of the best experiences of my life, actually. So it's a charity for Speyside Trust, who do a lot for children and adults with mental health issues.
Yeah.
And difficulties. So it's almost like a respite there.
Yeah.
So I was just tending the land and outdoors, and I lived in a pod for 4 months, and I woke up and surrounded by mountains in a forest, and just helped out, planted trees, all of the above. So I was very lucky in the first lockdown, but definitely now I think I've got to a stage where it just feels treacherous. I think I'm feeling what everyone felt in the first lockdown. So I take my hat off to people getting through the first lockdown, because it was definitely I was definitely the anomaly.
Yeah,
being up there, you know.
Well, that's beautiful. You were able to, you know, delay that effect a little bit, but then talk to me about coming back during a pandemic and having to finish this with new protocols. Was was that difficult for you as an actor and an artist to, have to work around all these technical and literal physical barriers to finish this?
It was, it really, it was, and it wasn't, because Malady, she's got her gang, and she spends a lot of time underground alone.
Yeah.
So there was like, I remember what was really weirded me out when I came back on set was that it's kind of, you've got a department. I would be there and being lit, but you could only have one department on set at a time.
Yeah.
So that was what was difficult. But then I was fine just to stay in and get lit myself. And have different departments coming in and out. The makeup department would come in and final touches, or the lighting had to come in and do things. So in that respect, that I missed the camaraderie, and I missed watching all departments, intertwine and make magic. And I mean, the magic was still made, don't get me wrong, but it just, it was great because we were all being tested, everyone from drivers to crew members and actors, 3 times a week.
Wow.
So that was a huge luxury, and we're all so grateful for that. So it meant that, there were certain things that we could, like the actors didn't have to have the masks on when we were on set.
Yeah.
Things like that, just to help with being in the moment. Because with Malady, it's I think I've got to the stage with Malady that I've got certain triggers that I use to switch me on.
Yeah.
But it took quite a lot to get to that vibration of kind of hypermania all the time, that she just doesn't stop. She's just like this Duracell battery constantly.
Totally. Yeah. That's amazing. And speaking of magic, what was it like working on a set where it's just no money is spared? It's like, that must have been so cool. Was that an amazing experience?
It really was. It really was. And obviously, my gratitude was high for being involved in this production.
Yeah.
For that. And yeah, especially when a lot of my friends, were, theatre friends as well, that weren't able to, tread the boards, and still don't know when they're going to be able to tread the boards now.
Yeah.
I know there's this chat of June. We'll be able to get back in theatres, but whether that happens or not, I just find it so sad.
Me too.
So I think that was the thing though, especially being up in Scotland in the first lockdown. I just felt, right, I have to do something. I have to give back because I'm able to. I'm in a space. I come from literally space.
Yeah.
There's an area with so much space that I'm going to give back and do something with my time, because I can. I'm not in a block of flats in London. That's my journey that I'm on. So use it wisely in that respect. And when I came back, it was so nice to see everybody, but there was protocols in place.
Yeah.
And having the money, HBO having that money to put into, get new air systems in the studio that we use, and also each department, in order for them not to kind of cross paths within the studio, never mind on set, they built own pathways that would come out of the building. So the makeup team would come from the 3rd floor, and they'd have their own entry and entrance and exit going straight into set.
Yeah.
So that was, it became a bit of a lonely kind of existence for everyone, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
But we were working, and that's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, talk to me now. What's it like seeing it about to come out? Is you're about to go on a crazy press journey, I imagine. Has this been, at least, I know you had a lull where you finally had to experience the pandemic, but has this lifted things back up for you?
Yes. Yeah, it feels weird. Like, I've seen the first 3 episodes, and it's so lovely to watch what other people have done with the text, and for them to, because when we got the first scripts in, I remember thinking, this is the best scripts I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but how is this person going to do this with this, and how is this going to be grounded in truth, rooted in truth,
Yeah.
But they have, and to see it all come together, and Seamus McGarvey, the DOP, has just done such wonders in the first few eps. It really does look $1 million, and that's a team effort. For
Did you guys had multiple units?
Yes, we did.
So you're getting to see some people's stuff for the first time, literally.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. So
I was just sitting there rooting for everyone.
Yeah.
Going, oh my God. Yeah, especially as Malady's just, she comes in when she does in the first episode. So it was a waiting game. And it was nice in that respect, just to be able to sit and just to go, oh, this
Yeah.
is what we were doing, like have been doing for the past 2 years.
That's so
And it's just,
amazing.
and I think even in the first few eps, I'm like, oh, I forgot about this storyline, and to know certain characters and what their journeys are.
Yeah.
Like even in the first 3 episodes, you don't get any inkling or
Yeah.
hint as to what their trajectory will become.
Yeah.
So that excites me, because each character has a bold journey ahead, and
Yeah.
how they're intertwining them all. I have just no idea. I mean, that's not my job, but I'm just fascinated by it all.
Well, you did such a fantastic job. I know we're just meeting, but I'm so utterly proud of you, and it's incredible. And
No, thanks,
thank you
bud.
for coming on the show and talking about it. I got a few final questions for you, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. So, right now, it's been a tough time for everyone, but, for all the actors out there that didn't get to go to NYU or Central and, want to get in this business, any words of wisdom you might have for them?
Um, Hustle, and it's
Yeah.
all about the work. It's all about the work. You can never do too much,
Yeah.
really, and it comes down to how badly do you want it. That's
Yeah.
it. And then at that stage, then you have to let go,
Yeah.
and you have to have
Which
the
is the
grace
hardest
to
part
let
by
go, which
far.
is because then
Yeah.
it's not about you, and it is
Yeah.
about if your face fits, or
Yeah.
there was something I even went for the other day, and they were like, you're just not going to fit into the family unit. And I was like, fine, that's a good no.
Yeah.
If ever there's
You can be a
if
great
ever there's
actor,
a
and
no.
for whatever reason, it just doesn't, you know what I mean? And that's so hard with auditioning is there's no feedback most of the time.
Yeah, and I think I've also learned that this isn't who I am. It's what I do.
Yeah.
Yes, it is almost my religion, and it
Beautiful.
has to be. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing. I think keep good friends around, and
Yeah.
and pick up a camera whenever you can. And
Yeah.
just kind of practice and speak text and just have fun.
Love that. So rad. Well, final question, what's next for you, Amy? Do you have an idea? Anything you can drop, or, what's going on in Amy's world?
So I just actually wrapped on a film called Spencer, with Pablo Larraín directing, who is
Wow.
amazing. It's going to look so stunning. Um, and that's another Princess Di film. Is going to be out, I
Wow.
think, at the end of this year. Yeah,
Oh, 2021. Amazing.
2021. Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
super. I love that there. And I'm supposed to be doing a one-woman show in London. Um,
Amazing. I'm gonna have to
yeah,
come if the
gonna
borders
yeah,
allow me.
I know.
Yeah. I hope.
And then I'm back to the Nevers in June. So I'm like so grateful.
Oh, amazing.
It never works out like this for me. So I'm chuffed.
Justice prevails, and I'm so thrilled. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being on the show. Please come back. This has
Yeah,
meant
I would
so
love
much
to.
to me. Thank you,
Oh,
Amy, and I'm sending
thanks,
you so
Ryan.
much love. Okay.
You too, and get better soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
Bye. 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 Bye.